Two Just Stop Oil protesters have been brought down and arrested after they climbed to the top of the Queen Elizabeth II bridge, which links Kent with Essex, the Dartford crossing, as it's known.
Well, the bridge was closed for 2 days as the group demands the government, quote, halt all new oil and gas licences and consents, and has promised disruption throughout the month of October. Well, joining us now is one of the Just Stop Oil spokespeople, Oliver Clegg. Thank you for joining us on the programme. My first question to you is that, isn't there something deeply anti-democratic and authoritarian about what you are doing? You are disrupting ordinary people's lives. You are targeting normal working class people trying to get on in their life. Don't you have the wrong target?
Yeah, good morning. So absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is part of democracy. Protest is democracy. And when we have a government that was elected by 0.12% of the population, and they're bringing about policies that are going to lead to the destruction of my generation,
Who elected you?
It's cowardice to do nothing.
But Oliver,
it's not democratic, it's just cowardly.
Who elected you? Because you're obviously criticising the political system, but no one voted for you and your policies and disruption.
No, but we're a direct action protest group.
Oliver, I want to take a slightly different tack here. Lots of people will have sympathy for protest movements around the world, many of them peaceful, many of them non-violent. Do you think that Just Stop Oil is a peaceful and non-violent protest group?
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything that we do is peaceful and completely non-violent, and we're trained in it.
Is it peaceful and non-violent to smash windows or to deface artwork?
Well, yeah, of course. No one has ever been harmed by either of those actions. And in fact, the paintings weren't even damaged. They're behind glass.
Is it peaceful to smash windows?
Yes. No one was harmed.
So it's a peaceful act to damage property. It's a peaceful act as long as no individual was harmed. By that logic, blowing up a bridge if no one was on it would be a peaceful act.
You're being facetious and going into these ludicrous hypothetical situations. No, we haven't blown up a bridge, and no.
But Oliver, it's an important point.
Right at this very minute, Tom, there are 30 million people in Pakistan who have been made homeless by catastrophic flooding. Just last summer, there was 40-degree heat in the UK. That is unheard of. And 1,600 people died. 60 families lost their homes. Those aren't hypotheticals. That's not being facetious. That is the world that we are living in.
Yes, there are some real problems with the climate around the world. I would note that fewer people are dying of extreme weather events than ever before, partly because we've got technological progress. And even though climate conditions are becoming more challenging, we do have the means to combat those, perhaps because we've become richer, perhaps because we're entering this balance between how we keep the lights on and how we care for our planet. But I do want to ask on this bridge question, because Oliver, you said that as long as no one is hurt, this is a non-violent protest. Does that mean that any damage to any infrastructure is non-violent?
Yeah, Tom, have you heard of a dictionary? Non-violent. We are not hurting anybody.
So violence, in your view, is only to do with people. You don't think that you can be violent towards something that isn't a person. You don't think that blowing up a bridge would not be violent.
Again, with that ludicrous hypothetical, we have not blown up a bridge. What you're talking about is throwing tomato soup at a painting, which, by the way, was behind glass. And you're trying to argue that throwing tomato soup is violent? Throwing tomato soup at a painting is violent? Do you hear yourself?
Oliver, your group has smashed windows of banks. Your group has smashed windows of companies. Indeed, your group has thrown paint over historic buildings as well. I wonder, if the Van Gogh painting was not behind glass, would it be legitimate to damage it?
I don't know. And again, you're at it with these ludicrous hypotheticals. That's just not what we did. The reality of the situation is the painting was behind glass and 60 families did lose their entire homes during 40-degree heat that never would have happened.
This is an interesting point because we are moving towards more and more extreme tactics. The environmental protests of 10 years ago were nowhere near as extreme as this. And I suppose the worry for some people is if you genuinely believe that there are going to be billions of people dying through climate change, which is what some of the spokespeople I've spoken to before from organisations like yours believe, if you genuinely believe we're heading towards an extinction-level event, surely your protests are going to get ever more violent, because that, in your view, would be entirely justifiable.
Our actions are never going to be violent. We are committed to non-violence. But yeah, you're saying that our protests are getting more extreme, but that is just a symptom of the fact that the climate crisis is getting more and more extreme. I mean, in your lifetime, did you ever see 40 degrees in the UK? It's never happened before. It's unheard of. And that's just in 2022. Imagine what it's going to be like next year. Imagine what it's going to be like by 2050. We do not have time to wait here. I'm 19 years old. Just imagine what the rest of my life is going to be like.
Well, interestingly, we have the Collins Dictionary definition of non-violent, which actually says methods of bringing about change do not involve hurting people or causing damage. So according to the dictionary definition that you brought up, actually it can include violence against things that are not necessarily people. So do you acknowledge now that your organisation, your group, is not a non-violent group?
That's just pedantic. So now you're saying that throwing soup is an act of violence. Oh, so we should be condemned for violence, for throwing soup at a painting.
Hang on, Oliver. Let's park the soup. Smashing a window. That's really easy for us to understand. Criminal damage. To me, that sounds like a violent thing, but to you, that's a non-violent thing.
Yeah. No, nobody's harmed.
Okay.
This is just...
Right, we're going around in circles, but that is a fascinating point. Smashing a window to you, I would put smashing a window in the same box as slashing a tyre or breaking a vase, or I don't know. That seems like it's violent to me. But Oliver, clearly it doesn't to you, but we appreciate you coming on and putting your case passionately to us. Oliver Clegg, we assume no relation to the former Deputy Prime Minister, but thank you for your time.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. He talks about, people dying from overheating. Actually, the policies that they advocate for will basically cause many people to be freezing, and many people do die from freezing temperatures in this country in the winter.